It was the summer of 1974. How many of you remember that summer? It was the summer of 1974. I was 19 years old. And I just finished my sophomore year of college. And I got a couple great jobs that summer. One was in a theater youth company, and they were doing The Wizard of Oz. And I was cast as, what do you think? Do not say Dorothy. Thank you. I was cast as the Scarecrow. And so the show was booked to tour that summer for about 10 weeks. And its first stop was at the Fisher Theater in Detroit, Michigan. Now, yes, Detroit, Michigan, there you go. I had never been on a plane at 19. I'd never flown far. I'd been to New York and Philadelphia and New Jersey, but Maryland, but I'd never really left my pocket of the world. So it was a big deal for me, and so we flew to Detroit to the Fisher Theater. And as it turned out, we were the show in the morning, in the early afternoon, and at night was The Wiz, which was the pre-Broadway tryout of The Wiz. It would then go to Broadway the following January. So this is June, July. It was on a multi-city tour preparing. And I did the show one afternoon, and they were rehearsing. When the show was over, I was hanging out for some reason, and I heard the music, and I went out into the Fisher Theater. It's a big theater. And I went up to the balcony and just hung out on the balcony and watched this rehearsal of The Wiz. Now imagine, I've not ever been on a plane before. So now I'm in this giant theater, and I'm studying to be an actor. I'm a sophomore year of getting a degree in acting and psychology, because my parents thought it would kind of be important to have a backup plan. So I'm up in the balcony and I'm watching a 17-year-old Stephanie Mills singing Home. And they were playing around with it and playing with lyrics, and I just absorbed this 17-year-old girl standing in the middle of the Fisher Theater stage, and the set was spectacular. Now, I had just been on that stage that morning. I had just done a show. But it didn't feel like what it felt like being in the balcony watching her singing this song. And I don't know if you know the song, but it's huge. When she was getting towards the end and singing those notes, I was blown away. That was a new beginning for me, because in that moment, I looked at that girl and I thought, why not me? That could be me. I want to do that. I don't just want to be in a children's theater show. I want to do that. I want to do this giant thing. That was a new beginning. So that was like June or July. In August of 1974, same summer, I was doing a show called A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum, and I was playing Hero, the young juvenile lead of the show. And Angela Lansbury was in town doing the Broadway tryout of Gypsy, because Gypsy was going to Broadway that year. And I was the star of the show, Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum, was Patrick Quinn, who ended up becoming the president of Actors Equity. Very phenomenal talent, and he was the star of it. So he knew a lot of people in New York. He had already started his career in New York. I was in college. And so a cast of Gypsy, a lot of them came to see A Funny Thing Happen on the Way to the Forum. And I got to, hobnob with a lot of these actors that were in a pre-Broadway show. And I'm like, I want this. I really want this. This is me. This is my future. So I went and bought a ticket to Gypsy all by myself, took the subway down we didn't have subways. Took the trolley car, right, downtown Philadelphia, and got out and went up to the balcony, which is all I could afford, the balcony of the Forest Theater to watch Gypsy. And that show really tore my guts out. Angela Lansbury tore my guts out. But there was a moment where the guy playing Tulsa, who's the young boy in the show, sings this song, All I Need Now Is a Girl, and there's this big spotlight that hits him, and he has this solo starring moment. And I am up in the balcony going, I can do that. I can totally do that. That's me. I could totally play this part. And I didn't understand really what it would take to do that. And you know what? It didn't matter. I just decided I can do that. Now, I didn't really have the training. I was an okay dancer and I was an okay singer and I was learning how to act, but I knew, something in me knew. It was like, I want that. I want to be that. A second new beginning. First it was Stephanie Mills, then this gentleman, John Sheridan, and another new beginning. That was August of 1974. On September 4th of 1974, my mother died, just a month later. And my junior year of college was kind of upset by that. She died on the first day of classes. And that was a new beginning, to be perfectly honest. So when my mother died, I had a whole different perspective of who I was, where I was going, what our life was like, what our family was like. And I went back to college, and I'm in college. She died on September 4th. It was in September sometime, the end of September, early October, when a playwright, she died on September 4th. By the way, today is my mother's birthday. Yes. September 14th. September 4th, yes. A producer came to me at my school and asked me if I would be interested in starring in a new musical that they were taking to New York. I was like, yeah. And it was called Young Ben Franklin, and I would play young Ben Franklin. And I had to go to all my teachers and say, look, I'm going to miss like 2 months of classes. Can I do it while I'm on the road? Blah, blah, blah. And all of them said yes. My anatomy class, my psychology class, my history class, my math class. And then my acting class said no. What? The teacher was like, no, you've got to be here to learn to act. I went, I'm going to New York to star in a new musical. I said, so I think I'll get a lot of practice. He said, I can't condone it. You'll have to withdraw from this course. It was called Voice and Body. It was a song and dance class, which I was the only one in class who could sing and dance at the same time. So I just left. I left, and I did the show in New York. And to be honest, well, I got my grades that year, and I did very well, except I got a D in Voice and Body. You have to just laugh at that whole thing. In fact, when Nora told me she wanted to drop out of UCLA, she pointed to that story to tell me why it was important she left college. Yeah, I'll never tell your children the truth about your life. So I went to New York to do this musical, and I never looked back. I never looked back. I left college. I stopped. Because new beginnings happen when you're not even looking. They're right there. They're available for you. Looking at Stephanie Mills, that was a new beginning. Something in me said, you're going to do that. That's who you are. Then I see John Sheridan in Gypsy, and I'm like, I can do that. That's who I am. Forget that I still needed a lot of training, right? Then my mother dies, and I'm like, I'm not interested in all the things that she thought I should do in my life. That's a new beginning. And then I get an opportunity. That's a new beginning. Now I'm in New York, and my father was just a dream about it. Because when I went to him and I said, when I got back from young Ben Franklin, I said, I will finish this semester. I said, but I'm done. I got to move to New York. And we didn't have a great relationship, and I never thought of him as extremely supportive. But he said to me in that moment, he said, you need to leave, because if you stay here, you're going to be here forever. He said, this is your opportunity. You need to get out. And he was right, because I had 2 younger brothers that I was responsible for. And I left, and I never looked back. Another new beginning. So the title of my talk today is this: what are you looking at? Obviously, that's Broadway. The picture behind it. The picture behind it is Broadway in some time. I mean, Mamma Mia is there. Oh, it's back there now, too. So what does that mean? What are you looking at? Our philosophy, very much like Andrea said, our philosophy teaches us that what we are looking at, we are creating. What we give ourselves the opportunity, what we let ourselves look at, creates more of what we're looking at. What are we looking at? I'm looking at Stephanie Mills, and I'm seeing myself. That's what I'm looking at. That created something. It created a momentum in my life. I'm looking at John Sheridan. What did it do? It created something in my life. I get to go to New York and star in a musical. And now I'm in New York. And then at that point, I'd never been to New York. I had never seen New York. Now I'm in New York City. I want this. What are you looking at? What new beginnings are you possibly not noticing? Because if you're not noticing them, you're not creating them. If you're not looking at them, you are not inhabiting the energy that brings them to life. So, Stephanie Mills, Angela Lansbury, my mother's death, young Ben Franklin, new beginnings come in many shapes and sizes, but we have to be aware of them. We have to be willing to notice them. This is a lot, but I'm going to read it for you. This is from Ernest Holmes. When you want to do a big thing, get the mental pattern and make it perfect. Know just what it means. Enlarge your thought. Keep it to yourself. Pass it over to the creative power behind all things. Wait and listen, and when the impression comes, follow it with assurance. Don't talk to anyone about it. Never listen to negative talk or pay attention to it, and you will succeed where all others fail. This is a powerful passage from the Science of Mind, and it's so indicative of what this month is all about. Because the reason new beginnings don't happen, or the reason, as Andrew was saying, why a new beginning may happen but it can't sustain itself, is because of what you're doing with your mind. It's because of what you're looking at constantly. Not just when the new beginning happens, but throughout it. What comes up that derails you? What comes up that changes your mind? What comes up that challenges you? And do you then look at that instead of what you were looking at to begin with? I'm going to break this down a little bit. It's a funny story, though. That was 1974. In 1984, 10 years later, I'd already had great success in New York. And they were casting 42nd Street. They were casting the tour of 42nd Street. And I had never wanted to do 42nd Street. It looked like a stupid show to me. I wanted to be a serious actor. I didn't want to tap dance on top of a dime. I kept saying those actors are monkeys. And then my agent told me that they had called for me and told me how much they were paying. And I thought I could be a monkey. It was a lot of money, 10 times more than I'd ever made as an actor. And so I went to the Palace Theater, the Majestic Theater, to audition for it. And there were like 40 guys auditioning for this one role. But I'd been really smart. I hired someone to teach me the audition. So I would make it look like I was learning it as they were teaching it. I already knew it. So I was ready. I was acing this no matter what. It was a lot of money. So it got down to two of us. And you can't make these stories up. It got down to two of us, me and John Sheridan, the guy who had played Tulsa. And I remember, I'm getting emotional thinking about this. I remember standing on that stage in the wings, watching him do the number. And they asked us to sing the Dame's song, which is a big tenor song, and then to dance this part of We're in the Money. And I watched him, and I'm thinking to myself, my God, I watched you 10 years ago. You changed my life. And in my head, I'm thinking, surely you're going to get this. I mean, granted, I've done more now than you have, but I just was so sure he was going to get it. And then they called me out, and he walked by me, went, good luck. He was so sweet. And I went out, and then I sang, and I danced. And she said, the director said, hold there for a minute. And she walked off into the wings, and I see her talking to John, and I see her shake his hand, and I see him leave. And she came back out on stage, and she said, you need to be ready to leave tomorrow. I said, actually, and I had a suitcase with me at that audition, because I was going back to Philly for some family thing. And she made a joke about my suitcase. She said, you're already packed. And I said, actually, I was going to Philadelphia. She goes, no, you're going to Boston. And I did. I was on a train the next day, and that was a whole year of my life, 42nd Street. I had, fun story. I had great science of mind prowess back then. I looked at it, I saw it, it was mine. That's how I saw things in life. I was 29 at that time. I was 29 years old because I turned 30 playing Billy Lawler. Ernest Holmes, get the mental pattern. What are you looking at? That's the mental pattern. When he says for you to get the mental pattern, he really is asking you, what are you looking at? Are you looking at the challenges of your life? Because that's your mental pattern. And that's what you're agreeing to. That's what you're accepting. You're accepting whatever you are looking at, what you are willing to look at with your belief system. So that's number one, get the mental pattern. The second is know just what it means. I didn't look at Stephanie Mills and think to myself, oh, I should audition for that community theater project that's coming up. I didn't. I saw Broadway. That's all I saw. From the moment that happened, I saw Broadway. When I saw John Sheridan dancing and singing, I saw me on Broadway. Not even in like a tour. It was like I saw Broadway. When I went to New York to do Young Ben Franklin, I wasn't on Broadway. I was right off it at Town Hall. Broadway was just across 7th Avenue. There were all the Broadway theaters. I saw me in those theaters, even though I was right across the street. I saw Broadway. So my question to you is, as we move through this month of new beginnings, what are you looking at? What are you seeing? And what does it mean? And how much of the crap that we let fill our minds is in there filtering in another perspective as opposed to what you absolutely want? You know, they talk about this science and they say, you know, it's not really a science where you just get what you want. Well, frankly, it's a science that says you get what you're equal to. And that means, what are you looking at? Are you letting yourself look at the reasons why it may not happen? Or are you just saying yes? You know, I think about Kevin and I, we just finished the first week of rehearsals of this brand new world premiere play. And the whole week has been nothing but table work with a bunch of amazing actors where we tore the script apart and put it back together. And it's been amazing. And the playwright has a very good mind because she's very clear where this show is going. And I love that about her because it's very easy to look at all the reasons why it might not go there, why this might not work, why this might not happen. But you can't afford to. In your life, you can't afford to let yourself dally or linger on the why nots. They can come up, and you can answer them quickly, but move back to center. Move back to knowing just what you're there to do and what it means. The next one, pass it over to the creative power behind all things. Well, that's where we've come to in this teaching. We live in a quantum field of pure creativity. You are creating, whether you are looking at what you want or whether you're looking at what you don't want. If you're looking at what you don't want, you're creating that. If you're looking at what you want and staying there, knowing what it means to you, now you're creating that. That's how the mind works. It really is simple, folks. It really is that simple. And if you're sitting here going, yeah, but, it's those yeah buts that are really a pain in the ass. Aren't they? Yes. Right, all those buts. But what if this happens? What if that happens? Well, what if it doesn't happen? What if you actually get what you want? What if you really are the dog that caught the car? Will you know what to do with it? I mean, that's really the question. That is me, front and center. When the impression comes, follow it with assurance. Believe in what you conceive. It never, ever, ever occurred to me that I would not star in a Broadway show. And by the way, the word was starred. It wasn't be in the chorus. It wasn't like be a waiter at the concession stand in the lobby. It wasn't any of that. It was, that's me. I am going to be front and center in a Broadway show. And this is the one where I really got to do that. In case you don't know what show this is. This is West Side Story, yes. I don't know why my hair looks so curly. It never was. I must have just had a very difficult day. But it's a great picture. And when someone found this picture and sent it to me, it stirred me because I think I got it maybe 10 years ago when they sent it to me, and I was like, my God, look at me. Where did I go? I was at a point in my life, I was like, where did I go? Actually, it was maybe 20 years ago. What happened to that guy? Even though I was already a minister teaching, I was like, what happened to the face? What happened to that mind? What happened to that? That's what I want. That's mine. And I can tell you, I am back there. Nice. That's where I am now. This is what I expect, and this is what I will achieve. Because look at that. What mind can conceive, man can achieve. Ralph Waldo Emerson. So what he's saying here is, when the impression comes, follow it with insurance. Believe in what you want. Absolutely believe in it. Don't just look at it. Look at it from the belief of, yes, that's mine. I would imagine, Lisa, there had to be a time when you knew you were going to win these medals, when you knew you were the best. Wasn't there? You knew you were the best, and you were the best, and you are the best, right? And if Craig Lincoln were here, I'd say the same thing to him. There had to be a time, people that achieve greatness and acclaimed greatness, that doesn't happen by accident. They know who they are. Remember who you are. Everyone in this room is the equivalent of whatever you decide to be the equivalent of. It can be minor, it can be major. From what I talked about last week, whatever it is, it better make you happy, because that's all that matters in the end. And this part's really important. Never listen or pay attention to negative talk. If you have anyone in your life that shoots you down, if you have anyone in your life that does not support you 1,000%, if you have anyone in your life that's a naysayer, they need to be either out of your life or you need to really not listen to them. I mean, if it's your mother or your father or your sister or your brother or your husband or your wife, just divorce them. But it's true. There are a lot of naysayers. There are a lot of people, and you know them, you can feel their energy. Like you tell somebody you're going to do something, they go, oh, okay. I remember, I used to say to people, I am going to star on Broadway. They're like, uh-huh. Yeah, sure. But you know what? I was a naysayer. Do you know who I was a naysayer to? You all know. Tom Cruise. No. Yes, Tom used to constantly tell me, I'm going to be a movie star. And in my head, I was like, you're 5'8", you're kind of a pimply little kid. You're not going to be a movie star. You might get, on TV. I didn't say that, but that was my energy. And I'm sure he felt that. Did he care? Clearly not. I mean, clearly. He knew who he was from the day I met him, which was annoying as hell, because he was so clear, I'm going to be a movie star. And I knew him when he was 18 years old, this little pimply kid from New Jersey who lived in my apartment with me, and because we had the same manager. And I was a Broadway star. So he so looked up to me, and I was like, not giving him the time of day hardly. My, how the tables have turned. So it's up to you all. Never listen or pay attention to negative talk from anyone. I am one of the lucky ones because I am married to someone who believes in me more than I do, who believes that anything I want to do, I can do it. And he's always felt that way, and he's always said that to me. But if you have people in your life that are not that to you, it's up to you to weed them out. It's up to you to get rid of the dark clouds all around you. New beginnings require imagination. Every person in this room has the capacity to create something brand new for themselves, whatever it is. And when I say brand new, I don't mean something maybe completely different. I just mean use your imagination to live your life at a higher level, at a deeper level of consciousness. Albert Einstein said this, imagination is more important than knowledge. Knowledge is limited. Imagination encircles the world. So for me today, I want us to really take a look at this theme this month and not just think how sweet it is, but to really get how important it is. This week, I want you to see what you need to get out of the way. What needs to get out of the way and allow your imagination to catch fire. there are probably some things, some people that need to get out of your way in order to let your heart, your soul, catch fire. Right now in my life, I am on fire. My heart is on fire. I am so excited about so many different things happening. I'm excited about where this center is going. I'm excited about where this teaching is taking us. I'm so excited about Palm Springs that just keeps growing every single week. I'm excited about the play we're producing right now. I'm excited about our musical that I have set for 2030 on Broadway. And you know, when I look at it, it's gonna happen. It already happens in mind. I'm so fired up and excited about so many things. Someone said to me last night that at the party, they said, you know, you get younger looking. You look like a teenager. And I said, you know what's funny about that? I don't, but I feel like a teenager again. I feel like that 19-year-old boy who landed in Detroit out of nowhere, saw the future in this 17-year-old little black girl who sang Home and just blew me away, in this 20-year-old, 22-year-old singer-dancer, in navigating through the death of a parent, leaving home, moving to New York, the excitement of that, the power of that, the passion of that. I feel it all again. And I feel that it's time for all of us to figure out what's in the way of your imagination catching fire. This is the month of new beginnings. It's not just about focusing on, I'm going to create something new. What's stopping you from catching the fire of imagination that will lead you toward whatever that new beginning is? Just give your heart a chance to open up, to see what's there. Maybe give yourself a break and go back to your 19-year-old self, your 13-year-old self, your 5-year-old self who maybe danced around the living room in a skirt, even if you were a boy. Give yourself the opportunity, give yourself permission to dream again, to imagine something bigger, something greater, something fuller, something that makes you so happy that the rest of your days continue to unfold from that perspective. Because at the end of the day, it's all about, what are you looking at? Pay attention. Only look at what you want. Namaste. Thank you, Tyler. Thank you.